What's up, guys? It's Brian again from Lake Hickory Scuba and Marine. If you are new to our channel, do me a huge favor, hit this little subscribe button over here and ding that little bell as well. That way you guys are going to be notified every time we upload new content. Now, I'm down here in our tank room / compressor room, fill station if you will, and you guys have been down here with us plenty of times, but you'll notice we've got all different types of bottles here. We've got single tank recreational bottles, we've got nitrox bottles, we've got steel tanks, aluminum tanks, we got 80s, 63s, 100s, we got all different sizes, and of course we got our doubles, we got a ton of deco bottles over here, and then this whole pile of bottles right here are our side mount bottles. And I get asked all the time, how do you get in and out of the water in side mount? Do you put your tanks in the water, walk in and clip off? Do you clip your bottles off and jump off? And we've actually made a video of how we actually get in the water with side mount, and I'll link that video up here, and I'll also put it down in the description below for you. But in that video I show you how I rig up my systems, i.e. with these paracord little lanyards here, to be able to get on and off a boat with it. But in this video what I want to do is talk a little bit about how I maneuver my body, or I travel with those cylinders. And I don't mean putting them in a vehicle and going to the dive site. I mean, how do I physically walk with these cylinders when it's not stabilized on my back? See, in back mount, obviously we got a tank on our back. It's stabilized to us through the BCD, and of course we can walk with it with ease. And even with doubles, you can kind of do the same thing with doubles because they're on your back. Yeah, they're a little bit heavier, but it's easy to walk with. So how do we do it in side mount? Well, it's really no different than how we side mount the bottles. We put the bottles on our side and we simply walk until we do what's called monkey diving. You see, in monkey diving, this is where we're only diving with one cylinder in a side mount configuration, which means basically you just got one tank on your side. And one of the considerations in monkey diving is you want to keep your body balanced out. Now, there's really no way to balance that on land like there is underwater. And let me explain how we balance it underwater. And then I'm going to take you on an entry where we were actually monkey diving, but we had a pretty good long walk to carry that cylinder before we got in the water. But let me explain how we balance it underwater, and then I'll explain how I balanced it on land. You see, these cylinders, let's take one of these aluminum 80s here. These cylinders weigh roughly, let's say, 38 pounds heavy. That means when they're full of air, they weigh about 38 pounds, give or take a pound, and it's probably going to be a little bit heavier than that based off what valve you use and based off what first stage and whatever rigging you got. But let's say 38 pounds as an average weight. Now, underwater, depending on the material, whether it's, say, aluminum or steel, in this case, this aluminum tank is only going to weigh about 2.5, maybe 3 pounds heavy when it's full. So you take a 38-pound cylinder underwater, it only weighs 2 to 3 pounds. So it's very easy to balance it out. And one of the things that I do is I'll strap a weight over to my side. So if you saw a video we did several weeks back, and we talked about how to add weights to, say, a side mount cylinder or a side mount BC when you're in a monkey diving situation, it's very simple. You just put a weight on the opposite side and that balances you out. Now, the problem here at the surface is we can't do that. I can't strap enough weight to me to balance that cylinder out to help keep me balanced when I'm walking. The only way to actually do it is to use 2 side mount cylinders. But in this case, we're only using one. So let me walk you through how I keep balance for a very, very long walk, and even how I make my entry in a, say, monkey diving situation with just one cylinder. And then I'll give you some final thoughts on some things that you can do to help prevent injury when doing the same thing.
Alright guys, so we're down in Curacao and we're fixing to head out to do some spearfishing and some monkey diving. And I want you to notice, that's myself there in the back and then Chris is up in front of me. Notice the position of my body as I'm walking. I am slightly leaning over to the right hand side to help counterbalance that cylinder. Now, it's not enough that it's hurting my back or anything like that. I do have a little bit of pressure pulling down on my left shoulder. Basically, I just have the tank clipped to my upper left D-ring here. But as I'm walking, I'm not struggling at all. I'm just simply counterbalancing that cylinder weight by simply leaning over to the right. You can also see that my hands are full. In my right hands, I've got my fins. In my left hand, of course, I've got a linefish tamer and a couple of spear poles. And if you look up in front of me, you'll notice Chris is in the same position, except his left hand is free to kind of help take up some of the weight of that cylinder. So he's actually lifting up on the cylinder as he walks as well. Now, as we approach the cliff face here, we're going to have to climb down this cliff. There is a set of stairs waters we go down. One of the reasons I prefer to walk with that cylinder clipped off is simply put, I want my hands to be able to be free if I need to grab a hold of something. In the case, I can grab a hold of this rail and very easily balance myself if I need to. But even going down the stairs, I take my time. I can very easily maneuver with that cylinder on my side. It's only 38 pounds. Now, I understand there's going to be a lot of people with shoulder pain, back pain, or they may not be very athletic, or maybe even have some type of physical handicap that can prevent them from doing this. But if you're a healthy individual without any type of ailment, you shouldn't have any issues just clipping off a bottle to your side and walking. We typically do this with pony bottles anyways, and a lot of times tech divers who are carrying doubles on their back, they're still walking and clipping off a full-size 80 on their side. So it's not really as much of a struggle as what you might think it is. Now, I do want to make or state this really quick, and this is not to come down on any diver out there, but sometimes in the scuba industry, and really any industry, so to speak, but the scuba industry specifically, a lot of times certain things will get a lot of negative talk towards it because of ignorance or a simple not having a simple understanding of how things works. And I've seen this a lot. I've heard a lot of divers talk down on Sidemount who are not even certified in Sidemount. So they have limited experience or no experience, but yet they talk down on it. Same thing with technical diving. I'll hear a lot of non-technical divers talk bad about tech diving when they have no experience in it whatsoever. So make sure when you're researching things, you're asking questions, ask people who have experience, they have certifications. Now, one thing you'll notice, as Chris jumped in there, he actually jumped in without his tank attached. So once we got down to the platform where we're doing our giant strides, we're actually going to remove the bottle so that we can bend down and put our fins on, and then of course we will jump in without the bottle attached. Now, in our previous video, or several videos a while back, I showed you how I made an entry with 2 bottles. You could do the same thing with 3. In this situation here, we're actually making our entries, our giant stride entries, by carrying the bottle. So it's just going to be in one hand. And I still have a hand free to actually hold my mask. If I had a regulator in, hold all that. So it's not any different than what you would do. You just got to make sure you got it in your hand. And somebody will say, well, what if you drop the bottle? Well, the likelihood of you dropping the bottle is slim to none. If you make a normal giant stride and back mount, you may be carrying a camera. You may be carrying a spear gun or a spear pole or something of that sort. And we rarely drop them. So the likelihood of us dropping this tanks is very, very unlikely. Now that Chris is ready, I'm going to hand him down the line fish tamer and the spear poles. I'm also going to hand him my camera here, and you're actually going to see these entries from 2 different angles. So just stay tuned for that as well. But I'm going to show you from 2 different angles to give you a better idea of what it looks like. But now that Chris is in, he is floating, everything is good to go. He's got his bottle strapped up. I'm going to go ahead and prep myself. I'm going to get my fins on here. And of course, once again, it's easier if you unclip the bottle here. If you're on a boat, then obviously you may want to put your fins on before you clip your bottles. And then you could kind of waddle back to the back or sidestep or even back walk towards the edge of the vessel wherever you're going to get in. But once I do that, I'm going to get my mask cleared out here, get a little bit of natural defog put in there, and then of course I am going to pick up my bottle and make a normal entry. Now, I did orally inflate my BC, as you can see I'm doing here, just to make sure that I can float once I hit the water, and then of course I'm going to make my giant stride. Once I'm in the water, I'm going to show you the exact same entries from a different angle. But now that I'm in, I can very easily clip this bottle off, and I'm just using my lower attachment point here, and you'll notice as soon as I clip it off, I can basically let go of the bottle. It's not going to go anywhere. When I'm ready, I can pull it up to the top, route my hoses the way I need, bungee off the top, and then of course start my dive. But let's take a quick look at these entries from a different angle just to give you a better understanding of how we're making it. So from this angle, this is actually from my point of view here. You'll see once Chris is ready, he'll just reach down, grab his bottle, hold his mask as you would with any other type of entry, and just make a normal giant stride entry. He's got plenty of air in his BC. You'll notice that bottle didn't come up and hit him. He was able to manipulate it, and then of course he can clip it off. But let's see from the bottom side what it looks like as well. So here you can see I'm getting my fins on, taking my time. I'm absolutely in no rush here. We're actually going out for a nice leisurely drift dive and to do a little bit of spear fishing here. But once my fins are on, I'm going to go ahead and defog my mask, as you've already seen me do from the top there. And of course, I'll orally inflate my BCD, make sure everything's good to there. And then I'm simply just going to pick up on the valve itself just by using the turn wheel there and just holding on to it as I make my normal giant stride entry. It is a normal entry, as always all entries are. Once I'm in the water, I'll clip off my bottle, and then of course we can proceed on with a dive. But as you can see, absolutely no difficulty monkey diving and making an entry.
So as you can see, guys, it's not that difficult to walk in single tank side mount configuration or monkey diving configuration. All you've got to do is just balance that weight out, whether you lean the opposite direction or you assist yourself by lifting up a tank. Everybody thinks these tanks are heavy. In all honesty, we carry them all the time. We simply just pick up with one arm and we can walk and carry it. You can do the same thing and assist yourself when it's clipped off just by giving it a little lift. And of course, if you can't walk that far with it, you can use some type of tank cradle. We showed you the video. I'll link it up here for you where we had that tank cradle. You can walk it. You can toss it over your shoulder, or you can get some type of strap system to help carry it. You can even use hand trucks to help move these bottles, but it's not that difficult. Regardless of the method that you use, please make sure you're always using proper lifting techniques and that you're not overstressing yourself. And then of course, when you go to make your entries, as we did here, you can jump in holding the bottle with the bottle clipped off. You can lower the bottle down with the rope. Whatever works for you, it is possible to do and to do it safely. But guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. Drop me a comment down below if you got any questions, comments, or concerns, and we'll discuss it together and have a good open dialogue here. Because I really hope you enjoyed the video. Until our next one, take care, God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.